Right now, as you read this, your brain is lying to you. Not sometimes, not occasionally, right now. It is filling in gaps, skipping details, and quietly rewriting your memories so the story of you makes sense. And the wildest part, you trust it completely, you have never once doubted it, you probably never even thought to. This is psychology, the instruction manual for being human, the one nobody handed you at birth. Today you are going to get it. The hardware inside your head. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. Each one is a tiny cell that fires electrical signals. Right now, reading these words, millions of them are lighting up at once. They talk to each other across microscopic gaps called synapses, passing chemical messages back and forth. Those chemicals are called neurotransmitters. You have heard of a few. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. That is a myth. Dopamine is about wanting. It is the hunger before the meal, not the satisfaction of eating it. It drives you to chase things. Serotonin keeps your mood, sleep, and appetite in balance. Cortisol is your stress hormone, useful in short bursts, destructive when it never switches off. Adrenaline floods your body when danger arrives. GABA calms the whole system down. Glutamate speeds it back up. These chemicals run your life. An imbalance in any one of them and suddenly you are anxious or exhausted or convinced everyone in the room is judging you. Your brain also has departments. The prefrontal cortex sits just behind your forehead. It handles decisions, planning, and stopping yourself from doing something stupid. It is the last region to fully develop. It does not finish until around age 25. This is why teenagers do things that adults cannot explain. The amygdala processes fear and emotional memories. The hippocampus builds new memories. Damage it and new information stops sticking. The brain stem keeps you breathing and your heart beating without you ever having to think about it. These systems do not wait for your permission, they just run. Here is the uncomfortable truth. About 95% of everything you do is automatic. Your unconscious mind handles breathing, walking, reacting, and most of your decisions before you even become aware of them. The conscious part of your brain, the voice reading these words right now, is more like a spokesperson. It announces decisions that were already made. It invents reasons after the fact. Studies by researcher Benjamin Libet showed that brain activity predicting a movement begins several seconds before a person consciously decides to move. The feeling of free choice arrives after the decision is already in motion. What you experience as choosing might be your brain's press conference, not the actual boardroom. How you became you. You did not arrive in the world as a blank page. Your genes loaded the starting conditions. Your environment did the rest. This is not nature versus nurture. It is always both, always working together. A genetic tendency toward anxiety means nothing in a safe, stable home. That same tendency in a chaotic one becomes something else entirely. The earliest shaping happens through attachment. In your first years, you form a bond with whoever takes care of you. That bond becomes a template. It follows you into every relationship you will ever have. Secure attachment forms when a caregiver is consistent. When you cried, someone came. You grew up trusting that people would show up for you. That trust travels forward through time. Anxious attachment forms when the caregiver was unpredictable. Sometimes present, sometimes not. You never knew which version was coming. As an adult, you crave closeness but quietly expect it to disappear. You read silences as rejection. You send the follow-up message before the first one gets a reply. Avoidant attachment forms when the caregiver was physically there but emotionally absent. You learned to need no one because no one was coming anyway. Now intimacy feels like a threat. You pull away when things get close. Disorganized attachment forms in environments of fear. When the person who is supposed to protect you is also the source of danger, the brain has no safe direction to turn. This one is the hardest to untangle. But none of these are permanent sentences. Neuroplasticity means your brain can build new pathways at any age. Therapy works by literally reshaping the circuits underneath your behavior. The patterns from childhood are strong, they are not permanent. The simulation your brain runs. You do not experience reality. You experience a model of reality that your brain constructs second by second using every signal it receives and a lot of guesses. Light hits your eyes, sound reaches your ears. Your brain processes all of that and builds a version of the world that feels completely real. But it is an interpretation. It has always been an interpretation. Your eyes have a blind spot where the optic nerve connects. There is no visual information from that spot. Your brain fills it in so smoothly you never notice the gap. It is inventing part of what you see right now. The invisible gorilla experiment by researchers Christopher Chabris and Daniel Simons asked people to count basketball passes in a video. A person in a full gorilla costume walked through the scene, stopped in the center, and left. Half the participants never saw it. Their brains had decided it was not relevant and filtered it out entirely. This is why eyewitness testimony fails. Memory researcher Elizabeth Loftus spent decades showing that human memory is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you rebuild it from scattered fragments, and rebuilding changes it slightly. The memory you have now is not the one you formed then. Loftus convinced people in controlled studies that they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child, that they had shaken hands with a costumed character that does not exist at that park. The false memories felt just as real as true ones. The feeling of certainty about a memory tells you nothing about whether that memory is accurate. How behavior gets built. Every habit, every fear, every automatic reaction you have was learned through one of a few core mechanisms. Ivan Pavlov was studying digestion in dogs when he noticed something unexpected. His dogs began salivating before the food arrived just from hearing the footsteps of the person who brought it. He replaced the footsteps with a bell. Ring the bell, deliver the food. Eventually, the bell alone produced the same response. The food had nothing to do with it anymore. This is classical conditioning. Your brain wires a response to a trigger. The ping of a notification creates a small spike of anticipation because your brain has linked it to receiving something. A specific smell pulls up a memory of a person. A song puts you back in a moment you thought you had moved past. B.F. Skinner demonstrated that behavior follows consequences. Reward a behavior and it increases, punish it and it fades, but timing matters enormously. An immediate small reward beats a distant large one almost every time. This is why long-term goals lose to short-term pleasure so reliably. It is not a character flaw, it is how the system was built. Variable rewards are the most powerful of all. Rewards that arrive unpredictably, sometimes yes and sometimes no, hook behavior more deeply than rewards that always arrive. This is the architecture of slot machines. It is also the architecture of every social media feed ever built. Habits form when behaviors become automatic. The basal ganglia takes over and creates a shortcut so the prefrontal cortex does not have to be involved. This is efficient. It is also how bad habits become nearly impossible to dislodge through willpower alone. Willpower is a conscious system trying to override an unconscious one. That is an exhausting fight to pick every single day. To actually change a habit, identify the cue that triggers it, replace the routine that follows, and keep the reward at the end. The pathway does not get deleted. You build a stronger one alongside it. What people do to you. You are a social animal. Other people change how you think, what you decide, and what you are willing to believe about reality. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch sat participants alongside a group of actors. Everyone looked at lines on a card and said which one matched a target. The answer was obvious. But when the actors all gave the wrong answer, about 75% of real participants agreed with them at least once. They denied what their own eyes told them because the room disagreed. Stanley Milgram took this further. Participants believed they were administering electric shocks to someone in another room. The shocks escalated. The sounds from the next room escalated. An authority figure in a lab coat calmly told them to continue. About 65% went all the way to the maximum level, not because they were cruel, because someone with apparent authority said it was necessary and kept saying so. The bystander effect shows that the more people present during an emergency, the less likely any one of them acts. Everyone assumes someone else will. If you are ever in a genuine emergency in a crowd, do not shout for help generally, point at one specific person, tell them what to do. That breaks the diffusion. The shortcuts that cost you. Your brain does not reason like a calculator. It runs on heuristics, fast rules of thumb that work most of the time and fail in predictable ways. Confirmation bias means you search for information that agrees with what you already believe and you dismiss what contradicts it. You evaluate evidence the way a lawyer defends a client, not the way a scientist tests a hypothesis. Knowing this does not fix it, it is still happening right now. The availability heuristic means you judge how likely something is by how easily you can picture it. Plane crashes feel more dangerous than car crashes because they appear in headlines. Your brain mistakes memorability for frequency. Anchoring means the first number you hear shapes all the numbers that follow. Loss aversion means losing something hurts about twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. The sunk cost fallacy means you keep investing in something that is not working because you already put so much in. The investment is gone either way. Your brain cannot let it go. There are over 180 documented cognitive biases. Understanding them does not make you immune, but it gives you a fraction of a second to notice when one is running you. The whole picture. Your brain is the most complex object humans have ever studied. 86 billion neurons, 100 trillion connections. It produces consciousness, whatever that actually is, it produces you. And it is running most of that process without your input or your awareness. You do not experience reality directly. You experience a version of it built from guesses and shortcuts and the particular history of everything that has ever happened to you. Your memories are reconstructions. Your decisions arrive before your awareness of them does. Your habits run without consulting you. Your earliest relationships still shape who you let close. None of this means you are helpless. It means you are human. It means every person you have ever been frustrated by is operating under the same conditions. The same blind spots, the same shortcuts, the same inherited patterns they did not choose. Understanding this is not a reason to give up on reason. It is the beginning of actually using it. Your brain has been running you since before you could speak. Now you have at least some of the manual. That is a different kind of power.